Abstentions? 1. There will be time to applaud in a moment, but I would like to note that MP Friedrich Merz has now got the necessary majority of 316 votes. According to Article 63, para 2, he has now been elected Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany. Now, before you all come and congratulate him, I would like to ask you for a moment here, because we have to ask the Chancellor whether he wishes to accept the result. MP Merz, do you accept the result of these elections? President of the Bundestag, I'm grateful for the trust and I accept the results of voting. Chancellor, congratulations on behalf of the entire Parliament on your election. I wish you a lot of strength and a lot of success in tackling all of the challenges facing you. And the result of this election is one that I will now share with the German president. And for the MPs, what that means is that we expect at 6:15 p.m. the swearing of the oath of office. We will inform you by a gong and will resume this session in plenty of time. So 6:15 is the time that I've been told for the swearing of the oath of office. Should it be sooner, we will let you know. It depends on how quickly the traffic allows you to go to the Belfry Palace. I now interrupt proceedings.
And that is not really the end, but the happy ending, at least. Halfway through a very long day for now almost Chancellor Friedrich Merz. He has to still go to the Belfry Palace to accept the post from the German president and then return to the Bundestag to swear the oath of office. Richard Walker here in the studio with me. What a day.
Yeah, what a day.
What do you think is going through Friedrich Merz's mind now?
Yeah, so let's, of course, we just came to that. It got slightly clipped. So 325 votes is what he got this time.
Still 3 short from the number of MPs in his coalition.
That's right. So his coalition, if you add the parties together, has 328. In the first round, now 6 hours ago or so, the result came through that he had 310. So he's managed to add 15 members of that coalition, but there seem to be 3 pretty stubborn holdouts. It's going to be interesting to see if those names ever kind of come through, if anybody actually kind of outs themselves as somebody who didn't support him, even on this second round. But you can see the relief on his face. And I think, as we've just heard, it was great to talk to Katja Hoyer just then, but as you started to see in the little box in the corner, Friedrich Merz coming back into the chamber, it made me recall 6 hours ago when he was coming back into the chamber after the first round. And that first time, he looked pretty deathly kind of pale, and this time his body language was definitely more positive. So, and what we see here is people from all sorts of parties kind of lining up to congratulate him. So he's just shaking the hand there of Heidi Reicheneck. She's one of the leaders of the Left Party.
Not a fan of Merz's.
Not a fan of Merz, normally, and one of the kind of surprise stars of the election just early this year, who came through and had a terrific social media presence, and the Left Party did much better than expected. They're a party very much on the opposite pole of German politics from the Conservatives, but you know, they contributed to what we're seeing here by going along with this idea of pulling forward this vote today. So that's quite an interesting kind of taboo that's been broken during the course of this day. But it's interesting to see what we see here of people from all these different parties coming to congratulate Merz. So that's a little bit of this sort of symbol of, German politics, still not being quite as divisive as politics in some of the countries where you might not get such a scene.
Yeah. Our chief political editor, Mika Kufner, is standing by following everything that's going on in the Bundestag today. Let's bring in Michaela. Relief, I imagine, where you are.
Yes, and it was quite striking how Friedrich Merz, the first time round when he, in this surprise, shocking defeat, didn't get the majority needed, the 316 votes. He sat there, then he packed up his pen, and then he left. And this time it looked like he was he just remained seated, as if in shock that it had actually worked out this time around. So he'd clearly braced himself for another surprising defeat, potentially. Everybody knew this time around what was on the line here. This would have had the potential to derail his ambitions to become chancellor on that very final stretch. Now he is elected German chancellor. He will now head over to the German president to receive his appointment there, and then we will see the same with the individual ministers from Friedrich Merz's camp, but also the Social Democrats. But this really was a moment of relief that was billed to everybody as really a moment of glory that it was set up to be, and the election of a chancellor is expected to be exactly that, the crowning moment after 2 months of coalition building, of signing a coalition deal with the Social Democrats, finding common ground. And this was supposed to be simply the execution of what had been politically agreed until, of course, individual MPs derailed it. Not a small number, 18, didn't give him their vote in the end. Now he's felt the very harsh force of a parliament, of individual MPs. And he really sat there taking in that moment of, well, victory, but there was no glory in this, that's for sure.
Not only today, but in general, it's been a rocky road to power for him. What kind of leader can we expect him to be?
Well, he's built himself as a decisive leader who will end the whole notion of the so-called German vote, where Germany continues to sit on the fence. He has the money to do it. He has 500 billion in extra debt to put towards infrastructure investment here in Germany. He has essentially carte blanche if there's the political will to take on debt for defense. So he overcame that debt break. At the same time, he did a U-turn on his bid not to touch that debt break. He had, and that's something he himself described as a political loan that he had taken out that he would have to pay back very soon once in office. Now, today, he felt that, and the world saw that whatever he pledges internationally can be and is likely to be conditional of approval by his own parliament and his own parliamentary groups, which he didn't really have a grip on. So that does not really radiate power domestically or internationally. So this is something that he will have to disprove. It's not a nice way. It's not a very strong appearance as the first appearance as a German chancellor.
One thing many Germans are concerned about, and maybe we can briefly touch on that. We just saw him shaking the hands of the AfD parliamentary group there. What do you expect him to do? Well, what do you expect to be his dealing with them? Because he has been open to cooperation with them before, then he's pedaled back on that. What can we expect on that front?
Well, he accepted AfD votes to gain a majority in parliament, which some described as cooperation. He still denies that. The AfD was set up to, and I quote from one of its founder, to chase the conservative CDU down, and he will have to fend them off, also from gaining ground more in German politics. This after they just doubled to 20.8% in the last election, so he has his work cut out for him.
That was DW Chief Political Editor Mika Kufner from the Bundestag there. Thank you so much. And before we go, I also want to thank our chief international editor, Richard Walker, for sitting tight all this time with me. Thank you so much for all those insights. Thank you for coming into the studio. And now it's time to get you all caught up on what we're doing here today. Our top story is, of course, the fact that elected German chancellor. He secured the post in a second ballot after suffering a historic defeat in the first vote in Germany's post-war history. No chancellor candidate had ever failed to win enough votes to secure the office on the first ballot. Merz secured 325 votes on the second vote, needing 316 to win the chancellorship. And that's all from us here in Berlin. Remember, you can also get updates and analysis around the clock on the DW app or on our website. That is dw.com. You can also follow us on social media. Our handle there is @DW News. I'm Nicole Fröhlich. This is Richard Walker. Thank you so much for watching.